How do you develop certain credibility to go into a community that do not know you? The film you saw yesterday, last night, which is an African answer, they didn't know us in Kenya. You have to develop a strategy of announcing your presence in a strange land. But then, you must work with change agents on ground. You must get someone that knows someone that knows someone that is respected. Otherwise, going into a strange place to begin mediation might be a challenge. So, how do you do it? The baseline survey. In the baseline survey, you can go in and say, look, I am this. You start from the few people you meet. They may not be irrelevant in positions, but it gives you the gist. Conduct a baseline survey when you are going to a strange area. And in doing that, along the line, as you do the survey, you will meet somebody who might be knowledgeable on the issues on ground and may assist you as the entry point to a strange area. We came to this land, if there were crises here and we were to come, we will look for our professional colleagues. If they are religious leaders, we will go on a courtesy visit to the chief imam, the mullah senior, or the sheikh, to greet him. That is a door that is open. You may go to the traditional chief, and when you go also, you try to bring something from your own tradition so that you can establish some common grounds. If it is a traditional dress or wear, you can take one from your communities to the chief or the high priest and begin to introduce those things to him. And they say a gift of a person, that is man or woman, makes way for them. If you have a gift, it opens the door. Another one, of course, is to break the ice. If you go to a strange place, learn one of the words, their language, and say it as you go to approach them. It opens their heart. You see the light sparkling. And a mediator doesn't say all the time that I'm coming to do mediation. Because the people say, who are you to do mediation? Who are you to come into our orbit, to step into our cycle? We go with other things, non-offensive things, but very subtle. What else can I take to here? I may bring the Nigerian batik to say, look, we have this kind of batik. Can you take me to where I can find some batik? That is an entry point. And you can create friends. That is when you are a stranger in the land entirely. But when you already have people like you who are stakeholders, if there are issues on ground, we can start from something else, sharing story, and we get to the mediation issues. Like this. Please tell me 7 things that you like about the people of Papua. 7 things you like about them. No, but sometimes it's better to start about the things you don't like. These Papuans, what don't you like about them? They will bring 100. So you start with that, and then they may say, okay, but you have one thing you like about them. Say, yeah, they know how to prepare fish. They may start from things that are trivial, not important. I like their fish. And, oh yeah, they can mix spices. And they are good swimmers. And, oh, they can hunt animals. Very good hunters. Before you know, you have a list of the things they like. But they don't usually say it, as you saw in the film. So, going to a strange land, you have to walk from the unknown to the known. We call it walking from path to whole. And in that way, you begin to establish friends. And like somebody said yesterday in the question of the interview, mediation can take hundreds of years. You may not finish. somebody may succeed you and continue. Some, it is fast. But we also realize religious leaders have capacity to end mediation quicker than when you bring the United Nations. Because you invoke their values and their spirituality. Sweetheart, did you get what I said? Oh, sweetheart, that's right. Sorry, I like interacting with people when we have these kind of things. And as Imam is getting ready to come over, I'm just like a preambler. Is there any English like that? Preamble. So is there anything like preambular? I like that. I like that. So I'm a preambler. I'm setting the stage for Imam as I engage. So what was I saying? What did I quite say when I came to you, sister? Did you remember what I said? What was the last thing I said? All right. Sorry, I come closer so that to radiate the energy. I steal your energy when I come close because it makes me feel great. Cheers. Thank you. Yes, yes. So what do you do? When you do that, you walk from whole to part. You begin to identify the change agents in the community, and you begin to talk to them about what you think they like and what they don't like, and then you begin to establish relationship, and then you begin to work with them. And it takes a lot to do that. That is why this morning somebody said you need resources, because apart from resourcefulness, you need also rupiahs. Without it, you wouldn't have been here. And sometimes again, you may use other methods. You may come with sport, football, and begin to talk around football. And you break the ice from football to the real thing. People in conflict don't want you to say that they are in conflict. They don't want to. Actually, they are right. You are wrong. So all you need to do is going from even drinking water. Imam, this is first time for me in my entire life to see bottled water hooked with red or orange cover. They always go with either blue or yellow. But today I found, so what is about the color? Why did they use this color? It's a new thing. New pink. Yeah. It's nice. It's trendy. It's what? Okay. You see me moving away from her? It's for her to talk louder, so that she can project her voice to me, and you also will benefit. So, thank you very much, Imam. I think I have exhausted my capacity to think. So, I don't want to repeat what they have said. I think, Imam, ask for help when you need some. Don't think you know everything and you have all the strength. Huh?
Thank you very much.
Do you need a talking stick?
Yes.
They say yes.
I think at times
okay,
I
they are
don't need a talking
recording. They say
stick.
they are recording. It's for the purpose of the cameras that don't have good ears
To hear.
like people.
Thank you very much. Can we give an applause for my Oga? Thank you very much. Oga means the boss. You see, what we are about to do now, we're institutionalizing the process of what? Of interfaith peacemaking, and with special reference to mediation process. And this is a broad area. The Interfaith Mediation Center has had a long year of 2 decades of effective engagement. And we become the, what we call the guinea pig. You have the concept of the guinea pig here? We become the guinea pig because nobody has done what we are doing before. We do not have models of an interfaith institution that is from a non-formal, non-state actors. An interfaith institution from what? From non-state actors in Nigeria who is engaging in mediation process and in peace building. It is very, very peace building and peacemaking. It's a very complex issues. So what we did is about try and error. At times we succeed, at times we fail, we come back. At times we cry for failing, at times we rejoice and celebrate for successful interventions. So here we're giving you, we have 35 different tools we use in mediation and peace building. In peacemaking and peace building, 35 different tools. But because we didn't have time, I'm trying to take you through the process. And then some of them I'll be mentioning them so that we'll be able to capture it. So your pen should be very, very straight, and you can stop me and ask questions. You are free to stop to ask questions. I'm going to drive at 120 kilometers per hour. Just 120. I won't go beyond 120 because we have so much to say and we have less time. That's why I will have drove at 80 kilometers per hour. We have a friend in our office. Anywhere he's going, he drove 70, 80. He's my deputy. He goes 70, 80. He said, hey, drive this car, let's go, man. He said, no, don't worry, Imam. And then he will have his phone. He has his backside. If you call him, he will pick the phone. And then he can send text message. He's driving and he's sending text messages. We have a friend, he's my colleague, my deputy, who is good in doing that. So, but I'm going to drive at 120 kilometers per hour, which is officially accepted in my own country. It's 120 is the maximum you can go, between 100 and 120, which is safe. If I have my family, I go at 100. If my family is not in the car, I go at 120. If it's in the car, I go at 150. So what we are doing here, we are not giving theory. We are talking about practical tools we've engaged in the last 23 years of our engagement. Practical tools, what we did. So it's left for you to capture this and see, and how does it work for you? Or how will it work for you? Or what is it? Because we realize all of you are experts. All of you are professional in this field. By your input and contributions, even if you don't know, I want to say you have a resources. You have a useful resources in you that can help you to start. In fact, I satisfy all of you as mediators if you follow the quality of what you have here. You are already mediators. But how do we do? What do we do? What are the good things, the bad thing, and the ugly thing we did in our own? When we talk about skills, we talk about knowledge and training tools. Here, we are talking about three important. They look identical, but they are not identical. Skill is skills, yes, training is training. Skills and training look alike, but they are two different things. The same thing applies to knowledge. So it's a broad spectrum to share our tools. So that's why we are trying to, do we stop on mediation alone, or we go beyond mediation to peace building? Because in mediation, you are talking about peacemaking. There are three important components. And that's why when we talk about peace, three things come to us. Trialogue of peacemaking. First is peacekeeping. The second is peace building. The third one is peacemaking. These three tools, we use them interconnectedly, but they mean different things. Peacekeeping is always done by the government when everything is upside down. I say, the mediators don't go. No, the mediator, who is the mediator there? Is the guy with the gun. He has the cane, not the carrot. To say you keep quiet or I deal with you. They impose peace. In peacekeeping, peace is what? Imposed. The military carry their gun. You see, the UN, peacekeeping force. So you cannot do peace and put force. Force and peace, no, calling. Force and peace don't go together. Here, you cannot have, when you talk of peace and you are talking about force, there are two contradictions. Peace, you are talking peace enforcement. How can you force peace? Huh? Can we force peace? No. That's why, yes, you can go into war, you can put more money in war, but you cannot buy the peace. Peace is a virtue. It's something that you need to buy. It's like love. You cannot buy love with force. You buy love with what? With chocolate. Thank you very much. So in peacekeeping, you have is peace enforcement. You have the military to say there's a curfew in the city from this time to this time, nobody go out, etc., etc., etc. That is peacekeeping. The second level is peace building. In peace building is peace education. You are talking about educating the people. You are talking about learning process. You are talking about sharing tools. In peace building, you are helping the community to evolve a system by which they need to be themselves. Are we getting the difference between peacekeeping and peace building? In peace building, it's about learning. What you are doing here, you are doing peace building. You are learning tools by which you are going to engage at later time. Whereas in peacemaking, you are already in the field. In peacemaking, you are already doing what? You are already you are connecting. You are building bridge. Here is thought. Here is education. Here is mediation. Are you getting the difference now? These are the difference between the three. So where are you? We are more involved in the two process here as non-state actors. We have no power to impose peace. We cannot impose curfew. We cannot say nobody should come out of this community. We don't have that power. Who have it? The states. So the states and international treaties are engaged on the first level. Only them have the power to do this. But on these two levels, this is where you are involved. As an educator, you are peace educators here. People listening to you to tell them what to do. And in mediations, those who have difficult situations, they need a third party, somebody to come in. And these are the keys. So we need to understand this very clearly on the first level of going. Then the second level, I hope you are clear with this. On the second level is the mediation process. When you talk of mediation, people will need to ask you, what type of mediation are you talking about? The mediation process have different variables of mediations. One of the first important process of mediation is to have what we call, it has a multi-track approach. And a multi-track approach to mediation, you have a third-party mediations, where the husband and the wife have a dispute, and they need you to come in because they couldn't resolve among themselves. So they need you to come in. You become the saving grace. For us as imam, we are very good in doing that. And then not only that, if the family is inheritance, who will help them? They couldn't resolve themselves. They say, Imam, come and share the inheritance. Then you go there to share, to help them in distributing the inheritance right to each member of the family. So these are complex. When they becoming complex, they got you involved. And in another level, apart from being third party, is shuttle mediation. Because the party will refuse to sit down together. I don't want to see his face anymore. Or the family say, we don't want to see your face. Or it is the issue of land, and both disagree not to meet. So you move, So what do you think about this? Tell them I don't want to see their face, except they leave our land. Tell him we have bought the land, we have, he says that he wants you to look at how you give the land and about it. So tell him we bought the land from his forefather, from his senior brother, and we don't give a damn. We have the document. We are ready to go to court. So, they are saying that we can follow the legal process of resolving the issues. What do you think about that? No way! I'm not going to court. I have my lawyer. So, he was saying that the best way is not to spend more money having lawyers between the two of you, but okay, convince him. Now, you say, what is your negotiation? What do you think we can do to resolve the issue? What do you think? This is shuttle mediation. Shuttle mediation, they don't want to see. And up to the final level, they may not even meet. Some in the final level, they agree to meet, and then they sign a document of agreement between themselves. Okay, I can see him now. No, it was his brother who come and told me this. That's why I hate him. Then they're able to connect the missing link. But at the beginning, you continue moving. You cannot force them to sit down because the tension the situation has not created a place for them to sit down. If they sit together, then you are creating a more complex situation of war and violence. Are we getting it? Then you go to negotiative mediation. The difference between short-term mediation and negotiative mediation is the two parties, no third party. They appoint who is their speaker, who will negotiate on their behalf, like the labor and the government. The labor union have their own speaker, and then the government, Ministry of Labor have their own speaker, and they engage themselves. Negotiating. It's not about win-win, it's about the best situation. Maximizing the best situation. In negotiation, the two parties are engaged. There's no third party. You are not there. If you are there, you are so silent. You are just a facilitator. When you get there, you move out, they engage. Whereas as a mediator, you lead the process for them to engage. Whereas in negotiative mediation, it is they who lead the process, not you. It is they talking to themselves. You just create an enabling environment and then back out. And they continue the negotiation process until they agree. Are we getting the difference? In medhab, we call it medhab, in mediation arbitration, it do happen with religious leaders or traditional leaders. Well, they will help to mediate between the husband and wife, and they put instruction to say, you cannot do this. Go back. From today, you must not go out by 10 o'clock anymore. And it stands. We say, yes, go back, we resolve the issue. Tell him you are sorry. My dear, tell your husband you are sorry. Or the husband, then tell her you are sorry. Tell her. Then say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, my dear. Okay, you can go home. Then after you left in the car, you are going, and the lady started smiling in the car. And say, say, hey, they told me to tell you are sorry, be careful, I will deal with you. I was told to tell you I'm sorry. Then, because the imam have a spiritual power and spiritual energy that determines certain events. This goes to the issue of conciliation. The imam or the pastor, the bishops have authority from God to say, no, you cannot marry yourself because he's your immediate brother. It is haram. No, you cannot marry the girl and the girl and the girl cannot marry because it is haram. It's not about your freedom or your right, it is haram. And when you do that, we are going to send you out of our community. You see, it's mediating and arbitrating at the same time. So very people who have authority have power to do mediation, arbitration at the same time. Because the people entrust them to say, what does God say? Imam, we couldn't resolve. Whatever you decide for us is the final. Should the marriage continue or stop? Imam should decide. So now, everybody go home and pray, say, hey, I hope the Imam will decide in my favor. They come for mediation, but they hand over the authority to him to say he should decide the final outcomes. Whereas in the other processes, if you are not a spiritual leader or a king or a lawyer or a judge, if you are just a lawyer or an ordinary mediator, you don't have that authority. You cannot impart, you cannot suggest, you cannot dictate. Whereas as a mediation arbitration, you can suggest options, solutions, and even dictate, and even give an instruction. And you say, now we are going to take an oath. Divine intimidation. We have it as one of our strategies. See, if I fail on this process, may Almighty Allah curse me. And somebody have to take the oath. And all of you have to take the oath. If I fail, may the Spirit of the Lord be upon us. May the curse of the Lord be upon he who. And we all say that and we agree. So we put divine intimidation. So everybody will be guided, not even though he's not so comfortable, but because of the divine intimidation. So mediation, arbitration have that. Then you have the fifth level, we call it interfaith traditional alternative dispute resolution. Traditional alternative dispute is different. There are about 3 layers under ADR. You have the government alternative dispute resolution, where the lawyer, you pay the lawyer to do that for you. As a mediators, you will be paid. You have remunerations. The lawyers, if you are disputing over land as a lawyer who is mediating land issue, you pay him to mediate for you. You pay the lawyer. He has to have money to do that. So he's coming in because he's paid to do his job. And it's recognized in the court of law and within the formal structures. Are we getting it? This is what called ADR from formal structure. But from informal structure, you have the traditional mechanism where the king or the chief or the religious leader, the spiritual leader, or the guru, the professor emeritus, will have right to say, you hand over the judgment to him. The vice chancellor in the university, he has the final say. When the faculties are having the problem, so we'll go to let the vice chancellor decide what he wants. But this is our position. So he now takes the final say, it moves away. So in tradition, in ADR, moving out of court or helping people to get to their needs, we use the traditional approach, which is cultural approach. You call it adat. Adat. The adat approach becomes a very important component, one. Then you have the faith approach, the religious approach. Either it is Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, Shinto, Confucian, Taoist, Zoroastrian, or whatever religion you have that traditional approach from within your own faith and traditions. Then you have the Christian approach, you have the Islamic approach. One to ADR. How do you do Islamic ADR? What is the premises from the Quran? What is the premise from the Hadith of Muhammad? What are the premises for ADR from the lifespan of the great Sahaba and the former earlier companion of the Prophet? They are there. Islamic ADR. So how do you help? So this, you are using a tool that is not officially, you are no more neutral, secular. You are using specific tools which you believe in. The tools you believe in, this is our heritage. Let's use it. If you remember Rwanda, when the International Criminal Court have over 500,000 people who have committed a crime of genocide, and they are to try them. And within 8 years, they are only to succeed to make 9 cases. What did they do? They go into a traditional approach. They call it gachacha. Gachacha, traditional approach for those who have read the story of Rwanda. And in gachacha, they just bring them together. And then the traditional chief, who is the mediator, just walk and says, yes, explain what you have done. And the guy comes and says, yes, I'm sorry, I killed your father, I killed your brother, and I almost get you killed. As a neighbor, I macheted them to death, and I'm sorry for doing that. He has confessed. He's sorry. What do you do? And I need a remuneration. I need a compensation, because the burden of the small children, the burden of the family lay on my shoulder. And so you are going to stay. Do you have money to pay? No. If you don't have money, you are going to stay for 7 years. You go to the farm and farm for her to feed her family. You must contribute for 7 years for feeding the family. Are you getting it? And they say, okay, and then go. So every day he come to her in the morning, he go to the farm, go to her farm before going to his farm. This is traditional ADR, alternative dispute resolutions. These are processes. So if you are mediating, you have to look at what is the best for that community. Is it shuttle mediation? Is it negotiative mediations? Is it, because at times it's let them talk. The best is let the parties talk among themselves. Where that fails, so you have to choose what is the best model, what is the best approach they want or you feel is good for that community. Based on your what? Other process we are going to, this we are talking about general knowledge. We are going to skills, identifying from your skills what are the best tools that need to happen. Are we getting it here? So this is on that mediation process. Any question? Yes, please.
Yeah, about the mediation and arbitrations.
Yeah.
Do you think that the process of arbitrations, betrays the spirit of mediation itself, because the use of power by the authority to impose something? I mean, yeah, because basically, I believe that mediation is to provide space, but in arbitrations, you have the authority
To impose.
yeah.
Yes. Today, in international law, in international community, they are moving from, what do they call it? Come on, it has fly away from my brain. Don't mind me. If it comes, I will tell you. The international system, the global system of criminal law, is not helping the issue. They are providing alternative. What is that alternative? Come on, I will remember before I go. I will let you know. So in the light of this, in arbitration, it is only a legal institution that have right to do arbitration. Legal institution have right to go for arbitrations. But however, the religious institution as an institution, with the framework of having a father, a shepherd, a spiritual guide, very often people willingly, on their own volition, send their authority to determine their affairs. That's why they do mediation and arbitration together. I do mediation, and for mediations, if they are stuck and they couldn't get out of it, because they give me that authority to determine their lives, the outcome, I now feel this is a better option. Come on, you need to pay her a compensation. You cannot divorce her at this age without paying her a compensation. That house should be her house. And it stay. If you didn't go to court to object to it, that it is. Are you getting it? So you have arbitration because you are providing solutions. Here, because you are given the authority as a spiritual leader. If you are a lawyer, at times they will give you the man to say, whatever you feel is good, decide for us. We don't know about law. Can you help to decide? You see, you are going to conciliation. And you see that the lawyers, that is how it happens. I hope you are getting it.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end...
You don't have right to do arbitration. Here, we don't have legal right to do what? Arbitrations. You have only right to do mediation. And why is mediation? Because arbitration is failing. Are you getting the point? Because arbitration is about criminology, dealing with the criminal. It's dealing with the offenses. You don't care about the relationship. Whereas in mediation, we are concerned about what? The relationship should continue. Help them to resolve their issues without destroying the relationship. That is the power of mediation. Whereas in arbitration, they don't care. Send the bastard. You know, the lawyers in Nigeria have a slogan: sue the bastard. Sue the bastard. Get your right off him. But the relationship, because they are family, they are neighbors for years, with their children, the relationship is going to sour. Hey, he sent my father to prison. Would that child be happy with the child of the other guy who sent him to prison? Would that family be happy to give their daughter in marriage tomorrow to the father of the boy who sent him to prison? No. So the concept of alternative dispute resolution is to reduce the level of these litigations, etc., etc., etc. Because of time. Any other question? But move to the next level. Yes, please.
In terms of the dialogue of this, it always comes that peacekeeping first, peace building and peacemaking. In terms of like when the violence, physical violence erupted, then we need the first first, and then the second is mediation. When the situation is stabilized, then we educate people. So it's come like peacekeeping, peacemaking, and then peace building.
Yeah. They have, this is interwoven. This is interwoven. Right from child, you are taught to learn the culture of peace. Not until you grow old. As a child, you are taught what? The culture of peace. Don't bully. We choose not to bully, because the power as a child lies in his mouth. You don't bully your colleagues. So the process of peacemaking does not begin after. They are peacemaking, they are within the process, and they are post-peace building. Peace building processes. Peace building before, peace building within. I will tell you in our tools how we do peace building even when the conflict is on. We have tools. We do capacity building for those stakeholders. We do a lot of seminars, sensitization workshops on the implications. We call it counting cost of conflict. We bring them together where they refuse to agree. We say, we are coming for a workshop. It's a peace building thing. We do counting cost of conflict. What does it cost to educate you from kindergarten to university? And at the peak when you finish your career and we smuggle you and get you killed because of the anger, what is the cost? How many children, how many youth have you killed who have finished their university? How much have you lost in terms of monetary values? Are we getting it? So you do that within a community that refuse to agree and they are continue going into war. At times they ask us to come. And when we go, normally we do some of those things. So here in peace building or peacemaking, it doesn't matter who comes first, who comes second. They are interconnected. Teaching and acting. Are we getting it? Thank you very much. Let me go to the next level. In the next level, you have pre-mediation. Somebody asked a question about what do you do in pre-mediations. Am I right?
Yes.
What do you do? How do you prepare? Then you have the mediation process and you have post-mediation process. It's about 3 important levels. Before you go any mediation processes, in pre-mediation processes, my brother talk about what? He talk about need assessment. He talk about case study. Am I right? In pre, you do a case study of the situation. That is the need assessment. What actually happened? What are the immediate causes? What are the remote causes of the crisis? You identify what? The immediate and the remote cause of the crisis. You identify what are the trigger, the accelerating factor, and the sustaining factor for the crisis. In your case study, you do what? Need assessment of what? What are the triggers? Why is it happening every time? Who started it? Then what are the accelerating factor? What keep it going? What fuel the crisis? And what are the sustaining factor? What make the process difficult? The crisis difficult to be resolved. This is the first thing you need to do very clearly. Need assessment. So you don't go to conflict situation without, you assume they are fighting over the mosque. Shouldn't the mosque leadership be the problem? Yes, it is the mosque leadership. So you go there and say, oh, let's bring them together at the mosque committee and then we mediate. So why did they say they don't want the imam anymore? What are the trends? You know, we did trends of conflict in Indonesia. And we realized that before 1998, there's a state of calm. Then when democracy comes, there's a rising, that's 7 years. Between 1990 and 2005, there's a rising tide of internal what? Tension in this country. And from post 2005, what happened? How? What was the connection? Some will have historical antecedents in your case studies. It's about history. Their forefather enslaved our forefathers. No, that land belongs to us and the government take it over without paying compensation and give it to them. It's about climate change. It's about environmental pollution and degradations. It's about access to resources. All this, you are going to get it clearly during your need assessments. You must do a need assessment, a case study of the conflict situation. Then number 2, you must do stakeholders analysis. Who is involved? Why are they involved? Number 2, stakeholders what? Analysis. Who and who is involved? Why are they involved? Who are they from the state actors? Who are involved from the non-state actors? You need to do this very clearly. Are we getting it? And when you do that, under that, you do the stakeholders of even the participants. Who are the connectors? Who are the disconnectors? Connectors and disconnectors. Who are those? You are talking about influencers in the community, people who influence opinion, positively or negatively. Who are the influencers positively? These are the connectors. Negative influencer, these are disconnectors. You must know them. The negative influencer we call conflict entrepreneurs. They make money, they succeeded by creating conflict situations because they have arms to sell. The arm dealers around the world, they are very good in doing that because of what? They want to sell their arms. I'll give you an example of Switzerland. In the Swiss, I told you the other day, the Swiss is one of the only countries in the world who doesn't engage in war with any nations. 750 years ago, they make an oath not to be part of any war. So they don't have military, they only have police. No military, only police. But they have a factory producing arms. And this factory, at a point, people realize that, look, if we don't sell, we don't participate in war, why we don't, our hands are not sweat in blood, but why are we selling arms? We should close it. You know, and in Switzerland, their democracy, they call it direct democracy. Everything serious, they go, all of them in the country and vote. So they call people to go out and vote. And when they voted, they say they have over between 6,000 and 7,000 family heads who are working in the military arms industry in their country. What are the alternatives? And they start debating alternative to arm industry. What job can they give them? So they sit there and debate to close it down, and they should go and look for another jobs or to let it go on so that they can have their job. So 51% says yes, the arm industry should continue. 49% says no. So the arms has to continue. And I was invited to Davos, Swiss, Davos Economic Forum, to talk about spiritual economy. What are the role of the spiritual economy in the global society of today? And coming back from Davos with Initiative of Change in Lausanne, we have a programs, and the media asked me, what is your opinion about just election that happened 3 days ago? And I say, if I'm a Swiss and I have right to vote as the president, yes, all I will need to do is change the arm industry into a chocolate industry. Yeah. And they laugh and become the news item, sharp news, turn our arms to chocolate industry. So therefore, in stakeholders analysis, disconnectors, what did they want? You need to know it. So as you are moving towards mediation process, you know how to help the two of them come to a consensus. Because you know the spoilers, and you know those who will help keep that. Number 3.
May I ask?
Yes, please.
Based on your experience in Kenya, because you were not familiar with the context. I mean, like I believe you're familiar with the context, but you weren't part of the community. How did you gather the data?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have networking. We come to networking. You have partners you must network with. Partners on the ground. So when we are a member of Ashoka Fellow International, it is a global social entrepreneur. Social entrepreneurs are part of connectors. So across the world, in 60 countries, we have a network of members who are Ashoka Fellow. People who are social entrepreneurs, people who use their wisdom to create a change or to create a development or a tools that enhance connectivity within the human family across the globe. So we have an Ashoka Fellow also in Kenya. When the crisis was happening, now you cannot be everywhere. That question of saying, if one of the community doesn't like the face of the mediator, what happened? If one of the community says, because you are a imam, we don't like you, get us another person. What do? Do you post yourself because you did the case study, you did everything, and it's time for the mediation process, or you get the money, or you facilitate getting the resources for that intervention? No. What is his name, sir? Our friend in Kenya. Ken Wafula invited us When you know that he cannot be, because he's part of the dispute, his community, and people have died so much during that election violence in 2007, he says, how can we get professional mediators who can help my community to do interventions? So he sent to headquarters of Ashoka Fellow, and they Google, and they say, oh, the Imam on the African continent, the Imam and the pastor from Nigeria will do that. So Ashoka connects us together and say, please come and help me. We said, we need a need assessment. What is the issue? Case study. So he did the case study on the ground because he knows the actors, he did all the case studies, given the guidelines. So he sent a report to us. Based on the report, we develop intervention mechanism, which is the next phase we are coming. Based on the report we develop. So you must have somebody on the ground, and then you can identify the most appropriate person, not necessarily you, to mediate in mediation process. So when you develop that, and that will give you the insight to know, are you developing a peace architecture, a roadmap for the community, or you are only giving capacity for them to resolve that issues? Because if it's a complex issue, they need a peace architecture. They need a roadmap. So in the roadmap, it means you are giving a template. Each community, each stakeholders in the community, the youth will do this, the women group will do this, the religious leaders will do this, the political actors will do this, the policy makers will do this. So you set up a time frame in the mediation. This is a community mediation. You set up a time frame with activity that go around based on their needs and outcome of what they feel the issues are. And the solution of what they feel, when you do SWOT analysis, you bring that thing back. Are you getting it? So then you develop your training manuals. If you are doing capacity building, what training manual do I use? What material do I use for me to go into the field? These are 5 important elements that you need to take care of in this particular, at pre-conference level. Are we getting it? Pre-conference, you have these 5. Now, pre-mediation. Now, in the mediation process, because time, I think he's talking about time. Is she talking about time?
Yes.
In the mediation process, you have to identify appropriate tools. Now you have seen the case study, you did the case studies, the stakeholders. What are the most appropriate tools? Are you doing shuttle mediations? Are you doing negotiative mediation? Are you doing a third-party mediations? What one are you? Or is it mediation arbitration? You bring the bishops and the sultan and say you have to lead. At times you facilitate and hand over to the bishop and the sultan to lead the process of mediation. You back out. Then they will do mediation arbitration. This is our community. We have a custom and traditions that must not be rooted. You cannot do this. That thing comes to play. So when you identify the appropriate tools, the next thing is what? You now engage. Because you don't just go there without tools in your hand. Who and who will help you? With whom do you want to work the work? And in mediation process, you know what it is. It has a lot of tools. We have about 35 different tools you can use here. 31, sorry. You have 31. And I'm going to share that with you. Then in post-mediation process, you have to do mediation and monitoring and evaluation. You don't do mediation and go away. You have to monitor and evaluate the outcome of that mediation process. Are you getting it? In mediation, in monitoring and evaluation, one of the first important things you do is you develop your resource indicators. Indicators of success and failure. If you succeed, what will make you to succeed? What are the custom indicators? What are the standard indicators? What are the qualitative indicators or quantitative indicators? How many people? Quantitative. Qualitative, what is the impact in the life of the community? You have to develop that. These are this. And then you do impact assessment. As the process is going on, and the process post-mediation, you do impact assessment. Collecting the data, analyzing it, then you have network of our strategic partners. These are people you are handing over to. These are people who will help you to keep the spirit going. Civil society within the community or government institution, because you must involve the state and non-state actors in the process. Are we getting the process clearly? When you involve them, they help you to succeed. They help you to succeed. You need these stakeholders here to keep the momentum of the outcome of this intervention going. That's why you don't go silently, you must involve them. For this process to continue, we have this institution, we have Jackie institution, and we have the other Dina, who bring the money lady. Deborah. We have Deborah institutions. You get the point? So she bring the money, they bring the resources, and they bring us the experts. Are we getting it? So when you are finished, you talk about scale up. In monitoring and evaluation, the outcome, how do you keep it going? These are just a framework of what skills that we have. So the learning tools which we have, there's no time, we have 31 different learning tools. I can mention some of them if you want me to mention them, but because there is no time, she's saying there's no time.
Can we agree to have like the break at 10:30 so that we can use the remaining time to talk a bit about the tools and perhaps continue the tools we into the third session of the day when we talk about challenges? Would that be okay? Yeah. I know that we started 30 minutes earlier, and logically then it means that we should, end 30 minutes earlier, but I think, everyone is in the mode of learning, so can we, stick to the plan and have the break at 10:30 instead of now? Okay, so please.
Thank you very much. In some conflict situations, where it is becoming very difficult and complex for you to do what? To go directly into mediation. We use the back door. The back door is you go to the community with the intent of doing a workshop. You are doing a workshop. You are doing a capacity building. Are you getting it? You went to the community, number one, we come for peace building programs. You are doing peace building. So since mediation is difficult because it's tense, then you go for peace building. And the first thing in peace building you are going to do is what? Is workshops. So we come to do a workshops. Then those issues in your case study you did, you are now validating those issues you find during your case study, during your need assessments. You ask them questions. Your community, what are the issues that keep you going? You don't talk about the conflict. So workshop is number one. Number two, you do seminar. Workshop, number one. Number two, you organize seminars. You find good speakers, people who are respected. Even when you are doing workshops, you don't bring controversial people to come and do that. You find influencers who will come on the seminar, who are guest speakers, people who have an icon. Here you bring a Nobel Peace Prize winner to come and talk. You get the point? You bring a good person to come and talk. And when he talks, people listen. He dows the tension. Are we getting the point? Number three, you do track 2 diplomacy. You help within track 2 diplomacy within the government. You move within the government. And you collaborate with the government. Are you getting the point? In order to facilitate a process of reconciliation. So at times you can collaborate with the government, positive collaboration. Are we getting the point? For you to get to what? To get to yes. Number four, you do what we call advocacy. Even though you are a mediator, we organize advocacy in Interfaith Mediation Center. It focuses on promoting the defense, the culture of protection and respect for minorities and vulnerable groups within the given society. Are we getting the point? Advocacy in the protection and promotion of human rights, right of minority, and vulnerable groups. This we do effectively. Number 5. Is it number 5?
Yes.
We do peace declaration. Peace declaration. You make people to sign peace treaties. People sign peace treaties. If you have a mediation processes, or you have a seminar and a workshops, and they say, but for today, as a community, we want to declare that we are for peace. So everybody will sign there for peace. And that process will go on as a peace declaration. Some will say we cannot. Number 8, to do peace affirmation. Peace affirmation. We are not declaring peace because we are not at war. However, we are affirming the peace of our land. Are we getting it? As a tool, peace affirmation is another important tool. Number 7. We do media dialogue. Media what? Dialogue. Brings the, you know the spoilers? If he's in the media, he talk good, he doesn't talk bad. He say we are the best, we are making peace. So you bring him to the media and let him to talk positively. Please, can you give a message of peace to the community? And then in the public, he say good. But in the back door, so now you set him up against his own people. Hey, you are saying good peace, 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 and you are not telling us to fight now. Why? So you create doubt in that process. Number 8. Number 7, in media dialogue, you do a lot of things. With the media, you bring people, you talk, you bring people, various stakeholders to talk on the media, not just the big guy, but even the ordinary youth in the community, the women groups, you bring them to talk. And apart from media dialogue, you use social media network. Media has to do with formal, print, and electronic media. Social media has to do with, we send a lot of messages on the social media. We use social media for news bulletin. You send bullet out, you send messages of peace. You do early warning and early response systems, we connect that. Time. Number 8. Number 9.
Something is wrong with your figures, Imam.
Because you are there intimidating me. Yeah. Interfaith peace clubs. Set up interfaith peace clubs in schools. It's another tool we have used in divided community, and it has helped a lot. We set up peer mediations in both schools and outside the school. Peer mediations. Number 10. Number 10. Number 10, peer mediations. Here you identify youths and give them capacity to organize training in various communities and in former schools. The senior peace clubs for the junior, for the senior colleges and university, you do set up peer mediation. And in communities within, you set up peer mediation for youth gangs in various communities. These are youth into drug addiction, etc., etc. You set up that. Number 10. Number 11. Community core of mediators. Core of mediators. Community CCC. Community core of mediators. Of mediators. In community, these are not informal structures. Community, remote community, you identify leaders, influencers, and give them capacity in mediation. This is peace building. You give them capacity in mediation and for them to start mediating their own problem. So they help solve the problem for you. Community core of mediators. CORE. Core, the inner network of niche of mediators. Yes, are you getting it? Number 12, Interfaith peace rally. We organize peace rally. Bring people together across culture, across religion, across ethnic, across race, to work hand in hand across some area in the community that they will draw attention. One of our Interfaith Peace Rally won the best UN Interfaith Harmony Week event. We did that in 2012. We are the best global Interfaith Peace Activities Award. And we do peace rally, we do some sports in schools, some fun fair, very interesting, and we won the UN award for that. We have a gold medal for this from the UN, and we collect it in Jordan. So it's a tool you can use. It's simple, less cost, get people together with messages of peace. Number 13, you have town hall meetings. Town hall. where in the community that they are introvert, they don't talk. They are so arrogant. You don't want to say that you are coming to teach them peace. Bring them to a town hall meetings. Let them discuss those issues of concern. Number 14. You have what you call capacity building for religious and traditional leaders. In capacity building, you identify from the needs, you identify the gaps and give them conflict resolution and conflict management tools. For religious and traditional leaders, ethnic leaders. So you have a network of traditional monarch kingdoms, and we bring their officials together and give them capacity in order to douse down the tensions. Then you have Islamic ADR, Islam and Christian ADR, which we mentioned earlier. Just put ADR, traditional.
ADR.
Yeah.
Alternative dispute resolution.
Yeah.
The other one is Islamic alternative dispute resolution. The other one is Christian alternative dispute resolution.
Are you getting it?
CDR, IDR.
It's IADR, CIADR, Islam and Christian perspective. Yeah, Christian alternative dispute resolution, Islamic alternative dispute resolutions. We use that because of people of faith, and we go to the Bibles to bring up mechanisms that do that bridges. Then another one we have is what we call peace education curriculum. We develop peace education curriculum, which are used in schools. You use them as tools. You focus on flashpoint communities in conflict. Give them peace education curriculum. Number 17, you have interfaith psychosocial trauma and psychosocial counseling. You do psychosocial counseling, interfaith psychosocial counseling for traumatized victims of war, victims of abuse, victims of Boko Haram, victims of rape, etc., etc. So psychosocial counseling is a very important tool. But how do you do within the framework of Islam? What is the Islamic tools for psychosocial counseling? What are the Christian tools? What are the Buddhist or the Jewish tools for psychosocial counseling? Across faiths. The unique thing is across our faith. So when the first Boko Haram victim, the girls, were brought, they give them medical, clinical psychotherapy, counseling. These guys continue crying. They refuse to talk. When they hear people, they move, they kill themselves. They refuse to collect to open up. Government try and try, and they couldn't understand. Then somebody tell them, you need to get to the imam and the pastor. And then they give us a call. And they send a flight, charter flight. I enjoy the charter flight. And then you go into the charter flight, and we fly to Maiduguri from Kaduna. And we pick the children up for just 2 days. By the second day, they are flying, jumping around in the corridor, moving out. The next day they started. Pastor picked them on spiritual journey and sing a lot of songs for the Christian song that keep them together. I keep the Muslims on spiritual journey. We took them on the journey, and then before you know it, prayer, the power of prayers, they're able to start having hope again, and they move. Number 18, you have humanitarian services. You engage yourself in humanitarian services to IDPs and refugees. IDPs and refugees or victims of flood. Are you getting it? So we do just it helps you as a mediator. When they see you as part of their problems, as part of the solution to their problems, giving a helping hand, you are building your credibility. You are building what? Your credibility. The government, one of the corporate body, invite us to go and share resource materials into various conflict IDPs who are victims of Boko Haram. And that really changed a lot of things. So you can do that in peace building. It's not just about talking peace, it's about sharing livelihood support scheme. Then another one is de-radicalization tools. Tools for de-radicalization. If you want to derad, radical groups, how do you de-radicalize the radical groups? How do you de-extremize the extremist violent groups? How do you turn them to be tools of non-violence? We have a tool specifically that focuses on the radicalization of extremists. Then number 20, you have what we call cross-cultural exchange program, cross-cultural, cross-religious exchange programs, cross-cultural exchange programs. We have Pastor talked about the North-South dialogue. You bring people from the other part of the world, you bring them to the other part of Nigeria, and because of that stereotype they have, you bring them together and you do exchange programs. From those communities, they have deep stereotypes about the other, send them to the other community to stay for 1 to 3 days, and you see a change. And they become ambassador and the voice of the other communities. Number 22. 21. You have a spiritual reflection. We call scriptural reflections. At times we let the Quran and the Bible to speak for themselves. We do that because we didn't have time here, we'll have done that. The first thing is you have scriptural engagement. These positive values within our scriptural norms, we bring it out and share with the people. And when they share, reflect over it, they say, oh, so we are saying the same thing. It's the same God we have. Then you start creating that and opening space for engagements. 23. 22. You have documentaries. You produce documentaries. So far, we have about 7 important documentaries of our interventions in different parts of the world. From the BBC World to Dutch Belly to ARD, which is the German network of media, to Al Jazeera and all other, so most of the networks, they carry our documentaries, some of which is you see, before you see me, you have seen our documentary of our work. And they are learning tools. We develop documentary as learning tools. Number 23, you have publications, books publications. Then you have posters and flyers.
That's the same number? Or?
No, 24. Posters and flyers. These are not books, these are messages you put on papers and then you send. You have big posters, you have banners, billboard. We do all this to promote peace. I just put them under one captions. Then you have sports for peace. In sport for peace, football is a very key thing. So we have tools, we organize communities in conflict, divide a community, we bring the youth together to play football for peace. And it has moved a lot. 26, celebrating Global Accredited Day of Peace. Celebrating Global Accredited Peace Days. You know, you have the UN World Day of Peace. You have 21st of September, we do that. Global Peace Day. Celebrating Global Peace Day. Or the UN Day of Forgiveness, Day of Tolerance. All these are part of those things we did. 27. You have storytelling. Telling stories as a tool. You know, storytelling is a very important tool. For you as a mediator, if the mediation process stops at the extension, you just find a story. Tell a story. And when you tell a story, you change the paradigm. And people move back to the center. Are we getting it? 28. Draft bill. Draft bill. You know bill? On policy change for legislations. For example, e.g., bill on hate speech. You look at issue of concern and encourage people to look at how to address that. Are we getting it? Then we organized fun fair, F-U-N, then F-A-R-E. You bring the families of divided community together, bring their children together. You bring their children together. Fun fair. You bring them together to dance together, to play together, and do some music and eat food together. These are communities that the men don't talk in across the various community. Number 30. You have divine intimidation strategy. Divine intimidation strategy. Let's stop at this for now.
Okay.
We stop at this 30. We have some that I didn't mention, but these are key tools for you as a mediator. You look at a community, either in peace building or in peacemaking, you look at what can you use to get to that community to start talking. At times we just go with sports. And in sport, they started talking. And they don't know that we are coming for real mediation. But we start with what? Sports. And bringing participants must come from the two communities to play sport. At times you see tension. If the other win, the other one win. So you take them to another neutral community for them to play. Take the two communities to another neutral community and see them playing games. Then you bring this to this community, you take this to the other community. These are tools that we have used that make us as an institution for interfaith engagement. When you come, it is when you see us in the field, you like us more than when you hear about us from far away. So what makes you tool is your actions should speak for you. Your initiatives should speak for you. When you have that speaking for you, you are more engaged. Please, can you ask me any question?
Can they ask you questions over coffee or after in the next session, because we don't want to, run late? Would that be
You
okay?
are the August.
Okay. Well, I actually have felt some divine intimidation upon me. I felt that like coffee is calling me. I need some sugar rush, so I guess I will surrender to the divine intimidation and invite all of us for coffee. When should we be back here, Pak Jackie, for the
No, I
next
just
session?
want to remind you that your father reminded me to have a coffee.
Oh, so we all go for coffee, relax, internalize what we have just had, see what is useful in your community, what you can do with it, do that. So when you come to the second sessions, Pastor is taking us, we'll be able to see from organizational structures how we're able to deal with some of these complex issues.
Yes.
We'll keep it going.
What time should we come back, Pak Jackie? When do you want to start? 11 or?
Yeah, can you have it for like 10 minutes?
Okay. So shall we agree to come back at 11? And please
Yeah.
give a big round of applause to Thank you very much for the tools.